welcome to Global Solutions. My name is Adedayo Fashanu. Global Solutions is a show where I discuss with global leaders about the solutions to various issues affecting us today in the world. Today we have a very special guest with us. He is the former and the fourth president of the United Republic of Tanzania. His Excellency, Mr. Jakaya Kikwete. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, it's an honor. And we are at the 41st World Scouts Conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, where you're going to be giving the keynotes at the opening of the event. And so, and you also, your accomplishment really, when when I've gotten to learn about you, is very impressive. I mean, you have like 10 honorary doctorates from various institutions globally. And you also, even within Tanzania, most of the public schools, public universities have given you honorary degrees as well. And I mean, that just goes to show how, I guess, intelligent you are and your leadership skills as well. And most of this, we must note, has been due to your contribution to various things in democracy and peace and health and education. So let's talk about education, the work you've done in Tanzania when you were the president, and also the scouting movement as well. The Scouts being the leading non-formal education movement, youth movement in the world. And how do you think, what do you have to say about the Scout movement and why that platform is important for young people today?
Of course, first, of course, I unfortunately I did not have the opportunity of being a Boy Scout.
You did not?
No, I did not. I was born and grew up in the rural setting. Yes, in the 1950s when I was growing up, definitely the movement was not there in those rural areas. Of course, but then when I went to secondary school, I saw some friends who were lucky enough they were part of the movement, but was not quite active in the schools that I had gone through.
Yeah.
But then for my four sons,
yeah,
are very active members of the Scouts movement. They've been to camps in the country, outside the country. And I remember some of the problems I had when I was president with our security people is when these boys go out to camps.
Through the Boy Scouts.
Yes, through the Boy Scouts. They said, what about their security and so on. I said, yeah, their security is your business. Of course. They would always make arrangements for them also to be around to see that nothing goes wrong. But they've been quite active, and I've been encouraging them. But also, in our structure, the president is patron of the National Scouts Association. So in the 10 years I've been president, I've been quite active with the National Scouts Association, talking to them, discussing with them, working with them on the plans to expand the movement, on the things that they wanted the government to assist. So that's how I got deeply involved with the activities of the National Scouts Association and the Global Scouts movement. So through that's how I've been. Yeah. To me, the Scouts movement is a useful thing.
Yeah.
Useful thing because the non-formal education, what they train them, when my boys come back from the camps or when they go there, they tell me the skills that they're learning about tying knots, doing various exercises, endurance exercises, bodybuilding exercises. But of course, the training that they get of becoming good citizens, serve communities, serve humanity. Yeah, they mold young people to be good citizens, to be useful citizens in society. So I think this is the beauty of the Scouts movement.
You know, one thing, there's this word, global citizen,
Yes.
that young people use today. I'm sure
Yes.
you've heard of a lot of young people who use the word global citizens.
Yes.
For me and most of my peers, we call ourselves millennials,
Yes.
and even for the younger generation as well, we refer to ourselves as change makers, change agents, global citizen. And you being a leader, right? How do you think that, you know, so much is happening in the world in terms of lack of leadership in government, you know, to the point where young people feel like they sort of have to cater for themselves. How can you encourage, or what words do you have to encourage young people to be active citizens today?
Well, it all depends upon what you define as leadership in government.
Okay.
Leadership.
How do you define leadership in government?
Yeah, because you said lack of government or lack of leadership in government. There's always a president in the country. The leadership is always there. But you know, today's world is quite different. You know, when I was growing up, I was born in 1950, so I'm 67 now. When I was growing up, you know, you had the parents as almost the sole source of information, and then you had the school where you went there, where you taught the ABC and they taught to read and write, and then you go to, from a primary school, you go to secondary school. And then,
yeah.
But these days, with the advancements on technology, you know, our kids today learn from different sources.
Different sources?
From different sources. And the mobile phone is a source. The social media is another source. So, you know, they acquire traits, they acquire habits, which at times you just get surprised.
Yeah.
You get surprised. How did my son? Of course, now I talk more about my grandson. How did my son learn this? Where did he get that? Oh no, he's so busy when he comes there. When one of my grandsons, when they come home, the first thing they need is my mobile phone. And when they take it, they navigate through to the games. Something which I can't. I'm the one who is owning that.
But they know better.
They know it better. And they're only 4 years old. So I think today really the nurturing of young people is multifaceted. Is multifaceted. Because even governments complain that no, this is not the young people that we wanted them to do. They will go there and acquire certain traits. They go into drugs. They go into this one. All these are things which certainly you cannot really blame the governments as not being there. It's only that we are in a world that you know it needs reinventing. But of course, many of governments definitely are doing a lot. They're investing a lot in the education of the young people.
Okay.
That's what governments really do. And I don't know of any government that is not investing in the education of its young people. But that's the biggest contribution that governments are doing.
So, but how can, you know, young people get the government to then pay attention to them?
Well, of course, there are many ways. One, of course, they have to be organized. You know, the government.
So young people have to be organized.
They have to be organized. You know, the government cannot listen to every young people on the streets. There are just too many. You know?
Okay.
Yes. Well, 63% of the population of Tanzania is young people. In a country of 50 million people, you're talking of close to 30, 40 million of young people. You can't listen to all of them. They have to be organized. So in the organizations, youth organizations, and the Scouts movement is one of those areas where when they are in these kind of organizations, they discuss the issues and then have them presented. Then that's good. They can form youth organizations and so on of their own. So that's the best way. And invariably, in many countries, the youth organizations are there. The Boy Scouts and Girl Guides are there. So they let them use this fora to really put their messages across. And of course, these days, the social media, they can also use that one to put their messages across. Many leaders read.
But do the leaders listen?
Of course they do.
Young people mobilize themselves. I mean, you see a lot of that. I mean, from even a lot of the political things that have happened, you know, from Egypt and Libya and all that, you know, they mobilize themselves. But how do the leaders? Okay, let me say this. During your presidency, how did you engage young people? Or how did you engage with young people? So compare when you were the president and now post-presidency. How have you engaged? How did you engage them, and how are you engaging young people now?
Of course, look here. For example, in our structure, Tanzania, of course, we have in our party we have the Youth League.
Yeah.
Very strong movement, because I also grew up in this movement.
Okay.
And they discuss issues, not only related to party interests, party winning elections, but they discuss issues of concern to young people, and they present them to me, to the leadership of the party, and to me as president. But also I was quite active. I've always been meeting the leaders of the students' organizations. Yes, at least I've been quite active in that regard. I meet them, talk to them. So I've been listening. Of course, we also have the National Youth Council. They would sit down, discuss, and present the ideas to us. So I say that we have forums where young people can sit down, discuss, and present their views and ideas.
Okay, this is something that happens, you know, a lot.
Yes.
Lately, young people attend all these forums, attend all these, you know, avenues to get their voices at the table. But my biggest question or my biggest issue with that is follow-up. What happens after these conversations have been had, you know? Because you find a lot of organizations today, they hold conferences, and they're like, you know, we want to engage with young people. But then what happens afterwards? What's the action that happens for where it becomes effective, not just come and we're talking with you, but there's a follow-up to the issues?
Well, of course, I can. It all depends. Of follow-up is the responsibility of those who are attending that forum.
Okay.
You go to a forum, you have resolutions, then follow up on those resolutions. So if you don't follow up on those resolutions, you don't blame anybody. It is you who is to blame. So definitely, I cannot talk of the others. I'm talking from my experience that I've had meetings with student leaders. I've had meetings from our youth movement in the party. I've had meetings from the National Youth Council. They've been giving us issues. We've been discussing, and we agree on what to do. And of course, I've had meetings with some organizations which are predominantly youth, the music industry, the film industry, and where you actually find youth, where they talk about the issues that concern them, and we're trying to find solutions to them. Some of them will be able to find solutions. The others take a little longer. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just curious. What are some success stories you can share with us regarding your engagement with, you know, does any particular story stick out that, okay, this was a forum, you engaged with young people, and this is a success story from one or two that you can point out? Of course, I'm sure there's many more. There are so many things. Of course, we talked about youth empowerment. I made a commitment to youth empowerment during my time. I gave responsibility to many young people. Some of them have just finished university. I made them district commissioners, and they never let me down. They never let me down. I took a lot of risk, giving position to young people, because I grew up that way. I grew up that way. The founding fathers just gave me responsibility at a very tender age, which made me believe that young people can do. The only thing they need is just give them the opportunity. And I've done that. In government, we have young people. We have addressed some of the issues that concern most students. It's about student loans and so on. We increased the student loan for the. We tried to address some of the challenges to the systems. We did not finish all of them, but I'm sure my successor now is continuing to work on them. We looked at youth in the youth in the music industry, how they are being shortchanged by the recording companies and so on. So there are so many issues that we have really addressed which are of interest to young people.
Yeah, some of the employment is one of the issues. I mean, unemployment is one of the issues. Okay, so let's talk about Africa. Africa, over like 200 million young people, and yesterday I was at a forum, 5 million engaged in the Scouts movement, and there was a delegate yesterday that said, African Scouts needs the government to support them. How regarding the Scouts movement in Africa, right, and the blooming population of youth in the continent, what do you have to say about, first of all, what are the positives, what are the advantages of having a youth population? Like, I mean, Africa's rising youth population, it keeps rising. What is the positive of that, the advantage of that?
Africa right now, the estimate is 226 million young people. There will be 320 by 2030. There will be 1 billion by 2050. So
that's a huge number. Yeah.
Those are the numbers.
Yeah.
Those are the projections. Well, young people are an asset now and in future.
Okay.
They're an asset now and future. Of course, they are a challenge in the sense that you have got to invest in preparing them. Yeah. Preparing them to be productive citizens. And that's where we invest in education. If you get quality, if they have access to quality education, then you have an effective workforce. Yeah. Whether in employment or in self-employment, that's critical. That's why the challenge that we have is to invest in their education. And of course, when you have the Scouts movement also is the non-formal education, which also empowers they build confidence, they become good citizens and so on. So the first thing is invest in their education, which I'm sure governments are doing, and the Scouts movement is also contributing to that. And then of course they need jobs, they need job opportunities, they need self-employment, and the answer to this one is growing the economy. Because you can't create jobs when the economy does not grow. Okay. So when you have sound economic policies which are going to promote growth and development in the country, that's how you create jobs for the young people. So this is what I can really say.
And what's your take on entrepreneurship?
Yeah, entrepreneurship is part of that, because if entrepreneurship is part of that. If you educate them, they have the skills. They have the skills that are required by the job market. Yeah. Yes. They also can have the skills to do self-employment. So that is where now entrepreneurship is important. Training in entrepreneurship skills, but also creating the venture funds that these young people can have access to when they want to do self-employment.
Okay, so for respective National Scouts organizations, how generally, if you listen to what the delegate was saying yesterday at the forum, for instance, how African Scouts require the government to be much more involved in the Scout movement. From what you know with different countries, African countries, what's the status there? How involved are the government with the Scout movement, and how do you think they can do better?
Well, I cannot supposed to talk about of other governments, but in the case of Tanzania,
okay,
the president is the patron of the National Scouts.
The president is the what?
Is the patron,
okay,
of the National Scouts organization. The Minister of Education is the president of the National Scout organization. So you have full involvement of the government in the development of the Scout movement in the country. So I don't know what the structure in other countries are. I'm sure the issues that the others are raising may not be raised by our National Scouts Association, because there is close cooperation between the government and the National Scouts Association, and therefore the government is deeply involved in the development of the National Scouts Organization. He was there when the Minister of Education said they've given instructions now to all schools to make sure that they factor properly development of scouts in schools. Okay. So you have these things. So every country is different.
Okay, I could see that, and I guess I could also see the frustration that could warrant some other organizations, other countries, if the government is not heavily involved as it is in Tanzania. I thought maybe you will have some idea.
No. I've been running Tanzania, not other countries. Okay. I don't want to venture into that.
Okay, that's fair.
Yes.
Let's talk about global, right? On a global scale. You have this keynotes coming up, maybe given in a few hours.
Yes.
And also, from when you think about young people today in today's times, what's one message that stands out to you that you want to communicate to young people?
Communicate to young people, what message? One, they should take education, formal education, seriously. That's one message, because it prepares them for being proactive members of the society. That's one.
And how do you define to what extent of the formal education? Because you have people who go to universities and come out and still looking for a job. I mean, you have graduates who carry the certificates everywhere and still can't find jobs. So today, I know there are a lot of people who are like, college is not the way. It's not the way anymore. So when you say to take education, formal education seriously, to what extent?
Unemployment is everywhere in the world. And not because there is unemployment, then we close the universities, because those who have gone through the universities and schools are not yet employed. We'll continue to. As I was saying, these are two sets, maybe, of course, two issues. Okay. You have issue of education, which should not stop, because even at the moment, in the world, there are 261 million young children and young people who are out of school. 130 million of these are in Africa. So we have this task, and these are the people who are really who are in the age group of the Boy Scouts and Girl Guides. So we have to continue to educate them, not because there is unemployment. There is unemployment in Spain, 40%, 30% in some of these countries. There is unemployment in the US. Everywhere there is unemployment, but people don't stop education because there is unemployment. The thing that we do is that's what I was saying. The thing here is we deal with the economic growth and development, so that we continue to grow the economy, so that we'll be able to absorb the population. Full employment may be difficult to be attained. Full employment may be difficult to be attained. What you do is continue to reduce the unemployment, but also train these young people to become entrepreneurs, so that they become creative. They think about what they want to do. Mentor them, but at the same time, create the possibilities of them to access finance. Accessing finance has been one of the key challenges, which we in Tanzania have been facing, everywhere else is facing. I tried to create a financing facility, but I think it was not done well. We spent a lot of money, but the results were not good. So we really have got to continue to do that.
I mean, it just seems like, I guess we can go on and on,
Yes.
you know, because it seems like when you talk about young people and the issues that they deal with from different, I guess from different nations, just a global issue with global issues that are affecting young people today. It's like the issues are unending, you know. So I guess one of the, you know, last questions I have for you is how can young people truly stay motivated given the challenges that they're facing today? You know, because it's like you talked about finance, for instance. In trying to get finance to fund their startups, they experience an issue. In trying to get quality education, there's poverty. In trying to just different things. There's in some, like South Sudan, the story from yesterday, they're dealing with that, you know. Yeah. So
now, the thing is, look here. Those of us who are old today, we're also young people.
Okay.
At some point.
True, definitely. That's no doubt. That's a fact. So you're saying that, I mean, for you to survive to this point, young people can survive and they will be okay?
You're also young.
Yeah.
You are employed. So look here, the challenges is there, but there are also plenty of opportunities for young people. Jobs continue to be created. People continue to be employed. Some don't make it. But we should not get to a point of assuming that because some are not employed, and therefore all the young people have no future. That's terrible. That's a terrible assumption. The challenge is big. The challenge is big, definitely. But a lot is also happening. New jobs are always being created. Old people are retiring, and young people are taking over their positions. So it's really a combination of a number of issues. But don't just go there in the streets. You find someone who is unemployed. They said, "Oh, this is a hopeless world. Everybody's unemployed." Well, there are so many who are also getting jobs. There are many also who don't have jobs. So really, we have got to continue to work, continue to train these young people to be able to. One of the challenges we have is our young men and women getting the education that is needed by the job market. That's another challenge.
The skills to match.
Yes. How do we really structure our education to be able to meet the needs of it? We have so many people. People graduate with a degree in history and geography. Who needs who needs to employ that? Some people just graduate with a degree in sociology, and if who did? Some go there and graduate with a degree in international relations. Their employer is only the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So it's again the tailoring our education to be able to meet the needs of the job market is another factor. But also how do we build capacities so that our young people can come out and become entrepreneurs of their own. So how do we train them? How do we mentor them? How do we support them? So there are a number of issues. I'm saying that not everything has been lost. We should not create an impression as if nothing is really happening with young people. As I said, there are so many who are also getting employed, but the employment opportunities we have not reached to a point where the employment opportunities can absorb all the young people. That's why we have unemployment all over the world. We have to continue to work. Give the people, young people, the education and skills that is needed by the job market. Give them the education and skills that they can self-employ themselves. Create the facilities that after they have decided to be self-employed, they can access the financing and resources so that they can also be there. So there are a number of issues. We should not simplify that because there is this and then things are so bad.
I agree to you.
Yes.
So I know I said that was my last question. Okay, so we're at this, we're in Baku, the Scout conference, and you're here. What is given the platform of the Scouts, I see it as a solution, right? The Scouts movement is a solution. Is one of the solutions to helping build and raise young leaders, and and the theme for this is together for positive change. So for the Scouts movement, and why was it important for you to be here today to give this keynote?
I don't know. I've been invited. Ask the Secretary General. Ask the Secretary General. He wrote to me. He invited me to come here and give a keynote address. That's all. So ask them why did they invite me? Okay.
So, but I mean, I'm thinking must have maybe for you personally. Was there anything?
I did not ask. I did not ask to be invited. They invited me. In fact, when I got the invitation, I met him. I asked him. So, what do you want me to do there?
Okay, maybe that would be a question for them. But but so far, I read up about your work and everything that you've done in Tanzania, and you're one of the very prominent leaders that have governed a nation in Africa. So
maybe that's what motivated. I also don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you have a good. You have a good record behind you, so definitely that's...
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And how do you say thank you in Swahili? Asante sana. Asante sana. And there it is for this episode of Global Solutions. Till we see you again. Thank you for watching.